Welcome to the Gospel Sleep, a peaceful corner made just for you. If your heart feels weary, if your thoughts won't quiet down, if you've been lying awake trying to find peace, you've come to the right place. Tonight, let go of everything that burdens you. You don't need to be strong right now. You don't need to figure it all out. You only need to rest in God's presence. As you listen, imagine sitting beside a gentle fire under the night sky. The air is cool, the stars are bright, and the Word of God flows softly around you, like the sound of a river. Each verse whispers truth into your heart. Be still and know that I am God. Let those words wash over your thoughts and calm the storm within. Here, in this moment, God meets you right where you are in your exhaustion, in your fears, in your sleepless nights. He's not waiting for you to be perfect. He's simply inviting you to rest. Every video on this channel is created to help you find that sacred stillness to breathe, to reflect, and to fall asleep in peace. So whenever life feels overwhelming, open godly sleep and let the spirit of calm surround you. If you haven't already, please subscribe and be part of our loving community of believers who rest together in His Word each night. Share these moments with others who might need peace too. Together, we can create a haven of calm where everyone is reminded you are loved, you are safe, and God is near. Now, take one more deep breath, exhale, and rest. You're exactly where you're meant to be in the gentle arms of peace. I settle into the evening with a quiet heart. The room breathes slowly. A lamp casts a soft pool of light. The rest of the house moves to its slower rhythm. I invite you to join me here. I speak in a low voice. The tone is gentle. The aim is simple. The word will come near tonight to soothe what feels broken. Settle where you are. Find a place that holds you without strain. Lie down if that feels best. Sit with a warm blanket if that helps. Turn off anything that pulls at the mind. Let the screen dim or close the book. Hold nothing heavy in your hands. Make small adjustments until the body rests. The breath will follow. Breathe with me. Slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth, in again, counting softly to 3, out again, releasing tension, counting to 3, continue at a pace that is easy. Notice gravity in the limbs. Feel the steady anchor of the floor or mattress. Let the shoulders drop. Let the jaw soften. A steady breath begins to steady the heart. Tonight is a time for restoration. The goal is not to fix everything at once. The promise is small and tender. God's word tends the cracked places. It does not force a sudden cure. It goes to the quiet wounds. It offers a steady, patient light. I come to read with this in mind. The cadence is calm. The words are chosen to mend, not to worry. You may carry weariness that speaks in the body. There may be frayed edges in relationships. There may be a dull ache that does not have a name. None of these need to be explained away for the moment. They can simply be brought into this space. Bring them gently. Lay them down near the bedside table of the heart. I hold this space with you. I ask only for openness, not a perfect openness, not a forced display, just a willingness to let words land where they will. The heart can be guarded, that is understandable, yet even a small crack can let in light. The reading tonight seeks those little cracks. It aims to pour quiet warmth across them. The outcome is trust taking root. Slowly, the evening is unhurried. Each verse will be spoken as if each one is an ember. The voice will not hurry to the next. I allow space between lines. I let silence do its gentle work. Silence can be a companion to the words. It gives room for meaning to settle. Listen for what lingers. There will be no debate, nor heavy argument. Avoiding deep theological tangles is intentional. I describe mercy and rest. I describe hope as a soft returning home. I point toward grace that holds steady even when the hands tremble. Where confusion appears, the reading will not aim to solve everything. Instead, it will offer phrases that lift and steady. If tears come, let them. If they do not, that is also fine. Tears are a way the body speaks. They can cleanse the edges of strain. If sleep arrives, allow it without guilt. This reading is a doorway. If it leads to rest, that is itself a blessing. If it leads to calm and renewed courage, that is welcome too. The reading serves the heart's need. Before I begin, consider a few small acts of preparation. Settle the feet and hands. Take off shoes if that helps. Place a small glass of water within reach. Adjust pillows. Loosen a belt or collar. Turn the face toward the soft light. These little comforts matter. They let the body know it is safe. At least for now. Think for a moment about one thing to give up to this evening. It might be a worry. It might be a replay of a difficult conversation. It might be a plan to control tomorrow. Lay that single thing down. Place it quietly on the floor of this room. You may come back to it later. For now, release it to the hush. I read as one who has come to these pages many nights. There have been nights of heavy rain. There have been nights of gentle snow. There have been nights when sleep did not come for hours. Each time, the word found its way into the small cracks. The reading is both familiar and fresh. It holds memory and surprise at the same time. The simple act of listening becomes a kind of homecoming. Expect no tricks. Expect a slow, steady pace. Each passage is chosen for its capacity to soothe the worn spirit. The language will be plain and soft. The images are small and sustaining. I trust that the biblical words carry their own healing when they are allowed to be heard in peace. A few practical notes for this time together. I will avoid long explanations. The aim is rest. Short reflections may follow some passages. Those reflections will be brief. They are intended only to point out the gentle light already present. There will be no argument, no call to perform. The invitation is to receive. It is safe to let the mind wander. Do not fight stray thoughts. If the mind drifts to errands or lists, notice them without judgment. Let them pass like clouds. Return attention to the breath and the voice when you can. The voice is a steady line. It comes back again and again, like a friend who walks beside you in the dark. This reading will keep a low presence, light a small lamp in the mind where worry live. Let it glow without blinding. The passages tonight tend to restore a sense of belonging. They remind that one is not alone in brokenness. Words of compassion rise quietly. They settle like warm cloth on sore places. When the soul is tender, such cloth can mean a gentle mending. If the body is restless, try a small exercise. Place one hand over the heart. Rest the other on the belly. Breathe into that hand. Count softly on the exhale. Feel the slow rise and fall. If sleep comes, the hands can keep watch. If the eyes stay open, the hands offer an anchor. The pace of the reading is unhurried because healing itself moves slowly. There is no rush to the finish line. The night is long enough for gentle work. The heart needs small reminders over time. A single evening can start a process. It can nourish the beginning of trust. Repetition over tender evenings often leads to deeper calm. I will sometimes pause between passages. Those pauses are intentional. They let the words breathe. They let the listener breathe. In the pause, imagine a quiet field or a shoreline at dusk. Picture a steady tide. The pause is like the tide coming in and going out. It is a rhythm that calms. Tonight is not a performance. It is a shared hush, a soft, communal resting of attention. The reading is offered, not imposed. Receive as you wish. Take the sentences that comfort. Leave what does not. The mercy of the evening is generous. It does not force compliance. It simply offers. If a memory surfaces that needs gentle tending, do not force it into the open. Hold it lightly. Imagine setting a fragile object on a soft pillow. Observe it without pressing. If guidance or care is needed later, there will be room for that. For now, the priority is stillness. Allow hope to be small. Hope does not have to announce itself. It can be a single, thin thread. The reading will aim to steady that thread, or team. Threads can weave into a cloth, and cloth can become shelter. The word has a patient way of doing this work. I speak slowly, so your body can follow. I choose words that rest on the ear. Each sentence is brief and clear. The voice is quiet, because quiet helps the heart hear. Where emotions are tight, the quiet loosens them a little. Where fear crouches, the calm voice can be a small counterweight. The evening will include moments of gratitude. They are not demands to be cheerful. They are gentle notices of small good things. A cup of warm tea. A small kindness received. A moment of breathing with no pain. These small acknowledgments do not erase sorrow. They provide tiny footholds when the slope seems steep. I will close each section with a soft pause and an invitation to breathe. That habit helps the words settle in the body. It ties the hearing to the physical presence of this moment. The habit trains the heart to expect rest. Or what time? The habit becomes a shelter to enter more easily. If sleep arrives before the reading finishes, that is a blessing. Allow it. The evening has done its work. If wakefulness remains, the rest of the reading will continue at the same gentle speed. No pressure, no measure of success, only a steady invitation to be held. Now, prepare to enter the first passage. Take 2 more slow breaths. Feel the exhale longer than the inhale. Soften the shoulders. Turn the face to whatever light feels right. The voice will move from invitation into reading. The first verses are chosen to meet the broken and restore the spirit. Each line will be paced slowly. Allow the words to wash over the edges. When ready, let the eyes close if that aids rest. If not, soften the gaze to a point on the ceiling. Keep the breath steady. The room is quiet and safe. I begin when the moment feels right. The reading that follows will carry the same hush and care. It will unfold with purpose and patience. The evening starts here. With a calm heart and an open hand, if this small hour brings a gentle change, consider letting others know. A quiet notice can travel in many hands. A click to subscribe helps this steady voice find more rooms. A short comment gives courage to keep coming back. Share the link with a friend who needs calm. None of this feels like selling. It feels like tending a lamp that someone else might need tonight. I begin here with honesty. The word authenticity is not a tall word for me. It is a small, worn thing. It is the way the skin of fruit breaks to reveal sweetness. I speak of the full openness that God offers, not a polished claim, not perfection. Just the simple truth that wounds exist and can be held. Brokenness arrives in different shapes. Sometimes it is loud. Sometimes it sits like a pebble under a shoe. It can be a quiet ache in the chest. It can be a list of disappointments folding into one another. It can be a long, slow loss that never announces itself. I meet these things with a gentle hand. I do not rush past them. I do not rearrange them into explanations. I name them and sit with them. There is a personal memory that returns often on these nights. It is not a dramatic story. It is a small act. Once, when a child was small, a cup slipped and broke on the kitchen tile. The sound was sudden. The pieces lay scattered like stars. The first reaction was a tightness in the throat. The cup had been ordinary. It had nothing of great value. Yet the breaking felt like something deeper. I remember kneeling on the cold tile. I gathered the fragments slowly. I did not attempt to tape it back to its old shape that night. Instead, I wrapped the pieces in a soft towel and set them on the windowsill. The moonlight touched those edges. The act of gentle gathering felt like attending to what had been wounded. That memory is a simple map for how I come to Scripture with you. The pages are not offered as a fix to hide the cracks. The reading is an act of gathering. The verses are soft cloths to lay over sharp edges. The aim is not to rebuild instantly. The aim is to make the night safer for the wounded parts. When the heart feels ragged, it is common to think that a tidy answer must be found. Yet tidy answers can feel cold. Instead, what helps is a warm presence, a steady voice, a promise of company. I have felt that company myself. There are nights when the Bible reads like a soft letter placed on the knee. It does not demand anything. It simply says, "Come as you are." Allow a small exercise now. Rest both hands over the ribs. Feel the slight lift with each inhale. Breathe slowly. Count to 3 on the inhale. Count to 4 on the exhale. On each breath, imagine the space under the hands, gently tilting toward mercy. This is not an instruction to perform. It is an invitation to notice. The chest knows how to respond when it is not rushed. I confess that there are places inside that still mark old hurts. The memory of failing a small task, the long shadow of an unresolved word. Sometimes the fear of being unseen stays close. I bring those things to the quiet. I do not unwrap every thorn here. Instead, I let the weight be acknowledged. The Bible often meets such weight in simple phrases. They land softly. They do not argue. They rest like warm cloth. Think of the heart as a garden that has taken a frost. Some plants look brittle. Others hide under the soil. Waiting. The word tends the garden slowly. It is not a gardener who uproots or scolds. It waters and waits. It prunes only what must be pruned. That image is not a repair manual. It is a way to see time and patience at work. If tears appear, let them. They are honest work. They do not mean failure. They mean the body is responding. I have cried in the quiet of a room many times. The tears do not always solve what is broken, yet they soften the place where healing begins. Sometimes a single salt drop changes the feel of an entire evening. There will be no pressure to share everything with me. Keep the most tender things close. Name only what the night can hold. For example, bring one single hurt to this moment. It could be the worry about tomorrow. It could be an old name that still stings. Place that hurt gently on the palm. Look at it without judgment. The act of showing is itself a kind of courage. The presence I read about is not distant. It is near in small ways. It is like a hand that rests on the back of a chair. It is like a light left low in a hallway so you do not stumble. The scriptures often offer images like that. They are not heavy arguments. They are soft assurances. They say, you are not alone in your smallness. There is a steady nearness that does not demand proof. I will not load this hour with theological lists. The aim is mercy, not debate. If questions arise, hold them gently. They may be taken up another night. For now, let the voice guide you to rest. Let the words act like a slow balm. The tone is companionable. The phrases are short and clear. If the present feeling is shame, notice how shame narrows the breath. Shame makes the body fold inward. Breathe into that fold. Breathe until the shoulders ease by a single inch. The outward posture does not need to change quickly. Small shifts matter. A tiny loosened shoulder can invite a new thought. A new thought can be the seed of healing. If the mind begins to replay a hard conversation, let it run like a film on low volume. Watch without trying to edit the scenes. Let the scene finish. In the watching, the sting often fades a little. It is not a dismissal. It is a gentle witnessing that acts like a cooling hand. Sometimes the brokenness is not an event, but a long weariness. The kind that sits as a dull background. For those nights, imagine a quiet fire that is kept low. The fire does not demand labor. It only needs a small tending. The word tends that fire in tiny phrases. It stirs embers rather than calling for grand rearrangement. I will read passages that have soothed me, simple verses that speak of rest, of being held, of a gentle shepherding presence. The selection is not a sermon, it is a litany of mercy. Expect plain images. Not denser argument, expect hands and shelter. Not philosophical towers. If a sense of anger arises, welcome it sparingly. Anger can be honest. It often guards an unspoken hurt. Let the anger be allowed to exist without acting on it. Breathe while feeling it. Imagine the anger as heat that goes into the ground rather than into striking. The ground can hold heat. It can turn it into warmth. When the reading touches a tender place, remain still. Allow the line to settle. I will pause after those moments. The pause is not empty. It is an act of listening. It is an invitation for the words to sink into the quiet. Sometimes the best prayer is a single sentence. It may be only, "Help me rest," or "Keep me near." A brief request is enough. The habit of turning a large fear into a small sentence helps the mind find a path out of its maze. Try making one small sentence. Now, keep it soft. Keep it short. If sleep arrives while the pages are still, let it. The rest will gather the pieces in its own way. The Bible has a way of working beneath the surface while the eyes are closed. The voices of the texts continue to do their quiet tending. If the night remains wakeful, continue to breathe with the steady pattern. Hands on the ribs. Breath slow. Let the murmured beat of the heart be a metronome for the reading. The steadiness of a human rhythm is itself comforting. Occasionally, I will suggest a simple image to hold. Picture a small room with an open window. A cool breeze enters. The curtain moves without urgency. In the corner sits a chair waiting. The chair is for you. The image is not a distraction. It is a room made kindly for your presence. Please remember that sharing this hour with others can extend the hush. If a neighbor, a friend, or a stranger would benefit, invite them. A quiet resource grows stronger when it is shared. The call to subscribe, to leave a note, to pass the link along is a soft request. It is not a demand on the heart. It is a chance to help someone else find a small shelter. Before the next set of verses, place one thing within reach that comforts a blanket. A small stone, a cup of warm water. These items anchor the body. They tell the nervous system that this moment is safe. The hand can come to the object if the mind stirs. I will end this section with a deliberate pause. This pause is for you to feel the weight of what has been acknowledged. It is a space where the breath can do its slow work. Stay with it a while. Let the stillness do its quiet mending. When ready, the next passages will begin. They are selected to meet the broken places with mercy and gentle hope. I sit with the quiet and let my voice be small. The room breathes around me. The night presses close in the way nights do. I do not rush the story tonight. I speak slowly, with care. There are nights when I feel utterly broken, not in some dramatic way, in small daily ways that gather until they feel like a fracture, a door left open to loss, a trust that thins, a promise that fades into static. In those hours, the chest can feel hollow. The steps can feel like walking on brittle leaves. The world keeps moving while something inside has stopped. Once, after a season of losses that arrived one after another, I remember walking on a quiet street. Rain had left the pavement shiny. Streetlights blurred into soft halos. My hands were empty. My head was full of what I could not fix. I remember wanting a single place where the pieces could be laid out without embarrassment. The desire was simple, to be seen with my cracking exposed and not hurried past. There are other times when the fracture is not sudden, but slow, a patience worn thin by worry, a hope that frays like a rope at sea. The slow unraveling can be worse than a break. It steals small things first. It narrows laugh lines. It makes ordinary mornings feel heavy. I have known that kind of steady erosion. I have felt the small fibers of faith loosen, not vanish, but become threadbare. In those hours I often sense a private shame. The mind whispers that brokenness is proof of failure. That quiet voice suggests that showing the cracks will invite rejection. I have listened to that voice too long. I have learned it speaks in the language of hiding. The habit of hiding makes wounds deeper. If you carry such a habit, know this: you are not the only one who hides. Many carry similar shadows into the dark. The human heart has this work in common. It is not a mark of weakness to feel broken. It is simply a mark of being alive in a world that bends and bruises. When I sit with these memories, I do not pretend to have clever answers. I do not offer quick fixes. What has helped me most is a simple practice. I place the broken feeling in my lap like a small, fragile thing. I look at it without insisting on a tidy shape. I name it aloud, quietly. The act of seeing it reduces the voice of shame by a hair. There is a presence that meets such small admissions. I remember it not as an abstract idea, but as a steady fact. It is like a lighthouse that keeps its light, whether ships notice or not. It does not hurry to make a scene. It simply stands. That steadiness has a face in the texts I read aloud. The scriptures do not pretend to erase the scar. They promise company in the scarred place. Psalm 3, 4, 1, 8 speaks to that company. It tells of a nearness to the heart that is broken. It names God as present at the point of rupture. The verse does not demand performance. It says presence is near. It offers rescue to the spirit that is crushed. I carry that verse like a small talisman, not to ward off difficulty, but to remind myself there is a steady nearness when the edges feel sharp. I remember a night when desperation felt like a tide. It came quietly at first, and then with force. Prayer had become a string of questions more than a conversation. I read those lines slowly. Each syllable landed like a soft hand. The panic did not vanish, but the feeling of being utterly alone did. That change mattered. Presence does not always fix. It often keeps. The idea that God is willing to mend what is shattered is not only theological language for me. It is practical and tender. I picture a craftsman in a quiet workshop. The table holds broken instruments. Each one is attended with patience. Missing pieces are not ignored. The craftsman does not force a hurried reassembly. Edrathis edhis. He understands where pressure went wrong. Then he chooses a way to bind the pieces that honors the original. while allowing new lines to form. Another image comes from an art I learnt about years ago. Some cultures mend broken pottery with a special lacquer mixed with gold. The repaired lines remain visible. They are not hidden. Instead, they are highlighted, made part of the object's story. The repaired object becomes more beautiful for having been broken. I find that image useful. It holds the paradox that mending can include the visible traces of breaking. I do not mean that every pain is made pretty. Some hurts leave a lasting ache. Some losses do not knit in full. But the willingness to repair is real. The repair sometimes looks like a new kind of strength. Sometimes it looks like a gentleness reformed in the wake of a wound. Sometimes it looks like the capacity to stay present when before there was flight. God's eternal presence is not some distant clock that chimes occasionally. It is constant. Morning and night do not change that presence. The promise is steady, whether joy or grief occupies the chest. I carry that promise quietly as I read aloud. The words are soft anchors thrown into the current. They catch some of the drift. When I think of God's willingness to mend, I remember small acts of mending in human life. A neighbor who shows up with soup, a friend who listens without offering solutions, a hand that steadies when legs feel weak. These small mercies are often how the divine nearness is felt. The sacred often wears ordinary clothes. There are nights when mending is literally very small. A slow forgiveness offered after long silence. A conversation resumed by a single sentence. A habit changed by one careful choice. I have watched small acts gather into a larger healing over time. The process is patient. It is not ostentatious. It is faithful. If you carry a brokenness that feels too wide, try a simple practice with me now. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out. And imagine the broken part of life is a small pile of leaves. You do not need to sweep them all at once. Take one leaf. Place it gently into an imagined hand. Offer it. Say very softly, "This is mine right now." Leave it there for a moment. Do this 3 times. The repetition steadies the mind. I know the mind will ask, what if offering does nothing? The answer is gentle. Offering does something, even when it seems silent. It shifts where the burden sits. It moves weight from the chest to the floor of the room. The body notices the change. The breath lengthens. The small interior movements count. The scriptures I read are not a surgical tool. They are a soft presence. They read like a companion who sits and holds a lantern. The words remind that being broken does not disqualify one from care. Rather, brokenness is often the place where care arrives. The promise of closeness is given freely, not earned by perfect deeds. I do not promise that every night ends with peace. Some nights end with the same ache. Some end in questions. Yet I can promise a steady voice. I can promise an invitation to rest even when the mind is loud. I can promise that the God I find in these pages does not abandon the broken place. The texts return to that idea again and again. They make room for small returns. Tonight, as I read, I hold those returns as possible. I read in short lines. I let the spaces sink in. I want the words to land on whatever is tender and not hurted. The goal is not to rush to closure. The goal is to let the present moment be as it is, and to provide a hand to hold. Before I move into a reading from Psalm 34, rest for one breath. Let the body settle into the surface that holds it. Know that the next lines will be taken slowly. The scripture I will read says the Lord is close to the broken, and that rescue comes to a crushed spirit. I read that verse not as an abstraction, but as a near, practical help. The nearness is like a steady shore beneath a storm. When the reading begins, listen as if someone is placing a warm cup near you. Let the heat rise into the palms of the hands. Let the words seep into the quieter parts. If sleep comes, let it. If wakefulness remains, stay with the breath. I will pause after each line to let the meaning settle. The next section will be tender. It will not try to explain every wound. It will simply speak of a nearness that refuses to leave. The line between brokenness and healing will remain gentle. The ending of this section is a small invitation. Stay where you are. Breathe. Receive the nearness that waits to meet the cracked places. I lift my voice a little higher now. But still soft, I bring another promise to the bedside. I read these words as a gentle lamp for tired bones. Isaiah 4:03. One is a promise I return to on heavy nights. It speaks of hope that renews strength. It speaks of rising on steady wings. It names a renewal that is slow and sure. I do not say this as a quick fix. The verse does not promise sudden vigor, as if by magic. It promises a steady return. It uses an image that feels like air and time. It compares the waiting heart to an eagle that finds the wind. The eagle does not flap frantically. It lifts and uses what is already there. The promise is patient. It is practical. There are nights when my limbs feel like old ropes. The hands are tired from years of small tasks. The spirit often follows the body. On those nights, the idea of soaring can feel far away. I have felt that. I know the weight at the sternum that makes simple things seem heavy. I know the mind that believes nothing will ever change. Still, I have watched the slow kind of change happen. It often begins with a single, small moment. A soft rest on a park bench. A warm cup held with two hands. A good conversation that does not try to fix me. These small mercies start as a tiny loosening. They widen eventually into room for breathing. They do not always remove the fatigue. They sometimes rearrange it into something bearable. I picture the eagle in a winter morning. The air is still and cold. The bird sits on a high branch. It waits. It watches the currents. When the wind shifts, it opens on a single wing and catches the lift. It does not force the air. The air lifts it. Strength is renewed by the rhythm of the atmosphere, not by a sudden increase of its own power. The bird trusts the larger movement. That is the image I bring when I read Isaiah. The scripture asks a small thing of the heart. It asks hope, not praise that bursts out like fireworks, not a hurried performance. A quiet hope that looks for help from beyond the small self. Hope as patient attention. Hope as a hand held open. I share a memory to make the image practical. Once, after a long season of caretaking, my legs were tired in a way that regular rest could not touch. The work had been constant. The evenings offered little repair. I walked to a field at dusk. The sky was wide. A single hawk rode the thermals far above. I stood still and watched. The bird's motion felt easy. It surprised me how peaceful it was to observe that steady ride. The watching did not change the tasks. I still had. It did, however, change the posture of my heart. The shoulders eased. Breath lengthened. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope that was not frantic. I felt the possibility of renewal that wanted time instead of speed. Renewal in this promise is not always about doing more. It is often about doing less badly. It means that the tasks before me feel smaller when divided by the breathing of a patient heart. Running without weariness is not a command. It is an image of endurance given to those who wait with attention. Walking without fainting feels like a promise that the path can be longer than the moment of fatigue. The text gives the listener permission to be slow and steady. I ask you to try a small exercise with me. Keep the breath soft. Place one hand over the sternum. Leave the other on the belly. Imagine your ribcage like folded wings. Breathe in as if the chest lifts a little. Breathe out as if the wings lower and rest. On each inhale, think the word lift. On each exhale, think the word rest. Do this 10 times at an easy pace. No hurry, no judgment. The motion trains the body to remember support. If the image of wings feels far away, imagine a different image. Picture a child learning to stand at a seaside. The tide pulls gently at the ankles. Each small step back is met with a friendly push forward. The child does not push against the water. The child leans into it and finds balance in the gift. That is the feeling of renewal. I mean, the world supplies a kind of lift when the heart stops fighting alone. Renewal also changes the shape of waiting. Waiting can be heavy or it can be expectant. If it is expectant, it means the heart holds a small light for what will come. It does not clutch at the future. It does not demand quick repairs. It receives small gifts of endurance and calls them enough for the next step. I have learned that such waiting enlarges the muscles of faith. They become used to small movements instead of grand leaps. The text also speaks of running without growing weary. That image comforts those whose work is long. It reassures the one who rises each morning to the same pattern. The promise does not erase the day's labor. It gives a new economy of strength. Some days the strength is subtle. It is not an explosion. It is a quiet reserve that appears just when the horizon seems to fold back into itself. The reserve is often unexpected. It arrives in a cup of tea, in a kind word, in a call that does not demand anything. These small things are the air currents the verse imagines. I describe God's presence here as a warm embrace, because that is how it often feels to me in quiet hours. The warmth is not a heat that scalds. It is gentle, like linen warmed by the sun. It presses softly across the shoulders. It is steady, like a palm that holds rather than squeezes. The sensation can be physical in the way warmth is felt. It can also be felt in the loosening of the jaw, in the softening of a tiny stance. The embrace does not solve all problems. It changes the posture toward them. When this presence touches the chest, the breath often responds. The inhale deepens without effort. The exhale lengthens. The heart's tightness feels less sharp. That change is a kind of renewal, small but real. It may not move mountains. It makes the way forward possible. That suffices. The promise of renewal lies in these small changes. If words of the night bring tears, let them come. Tears can be part of the lifting. They may feel like a release of a held weight. If sleep finds you, that is a sign the body is making its own repairs. Allow the rest. If wakefulness remains, keep breathing with the slow pattern. Keep the hand on the sternum as a reminder that you are held. I give a brief reminder about expectations. Renewal rarely proceeds in a straight line. There will be nights when it seems absent. There will be mornings when fatigue returns. That is part of the process. The promise holds across the rhythm of return and retreat. The important thing is not to demand perfection. The important thing is to notice small gains and to welcome them. Now breathe with me again. In. Hold a count of 3. Out. Let the exhale be 1 beat longer. Imagine a wing unfurling slowly. Imagine warmth arriving like a shawl. Repeat this 5 times. Feel the chest soften. Hear how the room becomes less urgent. I will place a small suggestion here. Choose one small task for tomorrow that can be done slowly. It might be a short walk around the block. It might be a single chore done with care. Give yourself permission to approach it with the renewed strength you have. Now, however small, the next day's demands do not all need to be met at once. A gentle step matters. I do not promise this will change everything. I promise the presence is near. I promise the hope given in Isaiah is not a distant, abstract idea. It is practical for the tired. It is patient for the worn. It tends strength as a gardener tends roots. It gives time, air, and the patient flow of wind beneath wings. If you wish, make one small sentence prayer now. Keep it brief. Let it be a single request: renew me, or keep me near. Say it aloud or hold it quietly. Do not insist on eloquence. Simple speech often carries weight. I end this section with a quiet pause. Let the breath do its work. Feel the warmth at the center. Notice the slight easing in the shoulders. If sleep comes, allow it. If you remain awake, carry the image of wings and the sense of a steady embrace into the next hour. The next passages will come slowly. They will continue to meet the heart where it is. Rest here a little longer. I will read again when you are ready. I settle with the lamp low and my voice softer than before. The last image of wings drifts behind my words. Tonight, I bring a different light. A story of home and mercy waits in the pages. I read it slowly. I keep the sentences short. The tone is gentle. The story opens with a family. A man has 2 sons. The elder son is steady. The younger son wants to leave. He asks for his share of the inheritance. The request is startling. Taking the future into one's hands feels like stepping off a known shore. The father grants the request. The younger son gathers what he can carry and goes to a distant place. Life in that new place is bright and loud at first. Pleasure rises like a quick fire. Gifts and entertainment pass through his hands. The spending feels like wind. It lightens burdens for a season. Then the season changes. A famine comes. The easy circle breaks. Money dwindles. Pride collapses into hunger. Work is hard to find. The young man takes a job, feeding pigs. It is work that presses on the shame. He longs for the food given to the animals. Acute reckoning begins inside. The fancy life has emptied into a hollow. Somewhere in the hollow, a memory wakes. The image of home returns. Food, kindness, even routine shine in a new light. He plans to go back. The plan is small and careful. He rehearses his apology. He imagines asking to be a hired servant rather than a son. The choice is to return in humility. The journey back is itself a kind of prayer. Meanwhile, the father keeps watch. The house faces the road. Each day the father looks down the path. Love has given him eyes for return. One afternoon, a figure appears on the horizon. The sight makes the heart leap. The father does not walk slowly. He runs. In that culture, running is an odd and humble thing for an elder. But the father runs to meet the one who comes. He closes the distance with arms ready. No one asks the son to earn his place again. The father does not demand the rehearsed apology. Instead, he embraces. Clothing is brought. New shoes are set on tired feet. A ring is given to mark belonging. A feast is prepared. The house fills with music and joy. The lost is found. The one who wandered is welcomed home. Not everyone in the house understands the celebration. The elder son stands outside the noise. He has labored faithfully. His resentment grows like a shadow. He watches the feast for the brother who left. He feels invisible and forgotten. His anger is heavy and bitter. He refuses to join the celebration. The father seeks him out. The father reminds him of the truth that nothing has been withheld. Everything the father owns has always been available. The call to celebrate is not a denial of the elder son's steadfastness. It is a call to let joy swell for the one returned. The story holds a few small surprises. The father runs. The father throws a feast without waiting for debt to be paid. The home welcomes before an apology is finished. Mercy comes first. Belonging is restored before explanation. These details matter. They shape what forgiveness looks like. I read the story, not to tidy complicated lives. The aim is softer. The narrative places mercy at the center. It keeps the broken within the circle. It refuses to let shame stand as the final word. The story says that home is a place for the wandering and the faithful alike. Both needs are seen. Both hearts are invited into repair and belonging. I know the urge to explain or to fix everything. I do not try that here. Instead, I stay with the images. A parent running down a road. A son humbled and returning. A table set with music and laughter. These scenes are small and clear. Silence falls between lines, so the images may settle. There is a modest anecdote I often carry in my pocket. A close friend once arrived at my door late and weary. Years of poor choices had carved circles of regret around that person's life. Pride had been peeled away by consequence. The friend spoke little at first. The shoulders held tension. The voice felt used up. The story resembled the younger son's return, though different in shape. Yet what mattered was the same, a willingness to come back, and someone ready to receive. That friend lingered in the rhythms of patience. Scripture was read gently, not like a hammer but like a warm hand. I read passages about nearness and mercy. I read about renewed strength in slow, steady ways. The words were not used as a checklist. They acted as invitations. Over weeks, a new courage appeared. It was not the flashy kind. It was a quiet steadiness that allowed small, faithful choices to be made again. What had seemed like a life broken beyond repair began to reseal in modest, visible ways. The friend relied not on self-sufficiency, but on promises of mercy and on a community that mirrored the father's welcome. Strength returned, slow as dawn. The courage to face each morning came from the sense of being already accepted. The parable's mercy is practical. It does not whitewash the past. The harm done still exists. Consequences remain, yet a new path opens without the demand that everything be perfect first. The house prepares a place before ledger books are balanced. That is a mercy I have seen given and received. When acceptance arrives without calculation, courage grows. It is possible to try again when safe ground is under the feet. Forgiveness also asks for honesty from those who wait. The elder son's anger is not swept aside by celebration. The story asks him to allow joy for another's return. The father's answer to the elder son is not dismissive. It is an invitation to widen the heart. If resentment lives in the chest, the invitation is to step toward shared relief rather than away into solitude. The gentle tension between justice and mercy holds in the place where both sons stand. I keep the reading simple because stories act like small lamps. They show an edge that can be held in one hand. The lamp's light does not push away the darkness so much as it makes a path. The pathway in this parable is back to relationship. The return is not a total erasure of memory. It is a forward movement into reconciliation. The family table becomes a place where new lines of belonging are drawn. When the voice reads these lines at night, the mind often softens. Fear that mistakes define the whole life loosens a little. Shame that insists on exile finds itself met by an image of arms that meet rather than condemn. Mercy feels surprising because it is generous without calculation. The heart can rest with that surprise. Rest begins when belonging is felt again. Do not be surprised if the story wakes something quiet inside. A small regret might stir. A hidden hope might breathe. Keep the breath steady. Name one thing that feels heavy and lay it down like a single stone on the bedside table of the mind. The stone does not vanish. It sits in the light. The presence in the story meets that stone with hands, not with a ledger. I often invite the listener to try a brief exercise after the story. Close the eyes if that helps. Place one hand low over the belly and the other over the rib cage. Breathe slowly. With each inhale, gather the memory of being seen. With each exhale, release a little more of the need to perform. Repeat this breathing for a minute. Notice how the body shifts toward a softer state. Mercy can act like that. It changes posture before it changes circumstances. The parable leaves room for the complex. It holds both sorrow and gladness. The elder son's hurt is real. The younger son's need is urgent. The father's love is wide enough for both currents. That breadth is the quiet lesson. It does not force a conclusion, but it invites movement toward reconciliation. I do not promise that every return will be easy. Some repairs take time. Some relationships require steady work. The story's mercy does not erase consequence. It does offer belonging as a starting point for repair. That belonging is often the first courage needed to keep walking forward. As I close this section, the final image lingers. A table full of food, music in the air, neighbors and family laughing gently. A father who knows both pain and gratitude. A son whose steps are uneven, but heading home. An elder sibling whose heart must widen. The images sit quietly like a soft glow. Take one more slow breath with me. In, out. Let the scene settle. If sleep arrives, lid it. If wakefulness remains, hold the story like a small lantern by the bed. Return to it tomorrow if you wish. Mercy works in slow rhythms. The promise of welcome is not a single moment, but a steady practice. I pause now with the soft hush that follows a good story. Rest here. The next passage will come when you are ready. For now, let the thought of home and a running father ease the night. Let belonging find a small corner in the chest. I sit close and let the story of home rest in the room for a moment. The lamp stays low. Breath moves slowly. I hold the phrase grace and acceptance like a small lantern. I will read gently from a passage that speaks of a gift. It is a short, steady promise. It changes how one stands before life. Ephesians appears in the pages as a calm voice. The passage tells that what saves is not earned. It is given. The words say salvation is a gift. It comes through trust, not through a tally of deeds. I do not press the line into a debate. I only let its plainness land. A gift lowers the burden of proving. A gift opens hands that had clenched with effort. Grace is an odd word in everyday life. I use it here like a simple object. Imagine a wrapped box placed at your feet. No bill comes with it. No fine print. The giver wants only that you accept. You do not need to tidy every corner of the house first. You do not need to explain each misstep. The box sits, patient and unashamed. That is the picture I hold as I read aloud tonight. The parable just read helps us feel this. The father runs to his son. He does not wait for an explanation. He gives a robe, a ring, a feast. He accepts the lost one back as if no ledger remained to be balanced. That reception is not earned by the son's apology. It comes before the apology. Mercy arrives first. The Ephesians passage names that pattern simply. Grace comes before perfect answers. It meets before work has been done. I share a quiet memory to make this real. Once, when a small failure felt enormous, a friend handed me a loaf of bread that had been baked that morning. The gesture required no justification. It was home-baked and warm. My hands trembled. I wanted to explain, to make the gift proportional. The friend only smiled and said that bread is for eating, not for measuring. The relief was immediate. I ate. I stopped thinking for a while about how I had fallen short. The gift did not erase consequence. It softened the edges. The heart found space to breathe. Grace works in that gentle space. It does not remove consequence or responsibility. It changes the posture toward them. A person still cleans up, still learns, still faces what must be faced. Grace simply says, the person need not be defined by failures alone. Belonging comes before a perfect record. That reversal feels strange at first. It also feels like rest. The thought of being accepted as is feels risky. Pride argues that acceptance should be earned. Shame insists no one can welcome such fault. I understand both voices. I have listened to them in the quiet. Yet the passages I read tonight always point away from a performance-based posture. They invite a hand to release its tight hold and to open instead. Letting go is not weakness. It is a wise unburdening. Try a small practice with me now. Place one hand gently on the chest. Take a slow breath. Think of a gift you once received that needed no explanation. Allow that feeling to be present for a breath or two. Then imagine, for a moment, that same gift offered again. You do not need to earn it. You only receive. Stay with that image for 3 breaths. Notice how the shoulders respond. Notice whether the jaw relaxes. This is not theoretical. It is a small bodily permission to let things be as they are. I will not make a long argument from Scripture about this point. The verse in Ephesians simply says, the gift is from God. It names the manner by grace. Through faith, those few words steady the mind. Faith here is not a heroic act. It is a quiet acceptance. It is the handing over of a small burden. It is the choosing to rest in the truth that one is welcomed. That choice can be only a soft decision. Small and repeated, there is another image I keep for nights like this. Picture a child who falls while learning to walk. A parent does not list the child's failures. The parent stands and catches. The child's stumbling is met with warmth, not a ledger of mistakes. The parent helps the child stand again. The child receives support, not a moral account. The grace in Ephesians is like that. It is parental in its simplicity. The adult response is not calculation. It is invitation. If the idea of acceptance meets resistance in the chest, do not push too hard. Resistance often grows from a fear that accepting a gift means losing agency. It does not. Acceptance can be the beginning of new freedom. A freed hand can take up new work with a lighter load. The muscles of trust grow slowly when given small. Safe practice. I recall a season when trying to do everything well felt essential. My list of worthy actions grew long. The list was a shield and a chain at once. Each completed task felt like proof against being dismissed. Then a voice in Scripture interrupted the rhythm. It whispered that worth is not a sum of performances. The relief was like a cool stream across sunburn. I did not immediately drop every duty. Instead, I found the courage to do tasks from a place of belonging rather than from terror of losing love. That shift changes how one prays. Prayer becomes less about earning care and more about resting into trust. The practice remains simple. A small sentence can serve as a bridge, a soft admission of need. It can be nothing more than a breath, with the name of the need tucked into it. This kind of prayer is not eloquent, but it is honest. It aligns the hands with the heart's actual posture. Grace also invites a practical generosity toward others. When one receives mercy, a space opens to give mercy. The older son in the parable resists this. His heart tightens. He counts fairness as a ledger. Mercy, in contrast, is not arithmetic. It moves from a place of abundance. When I read Ephesians about grace as a gift, I feel called to be a little more gentle with neighbors, a little kinder to the self. The gift loosens the grip that demands perfection from everyone. One can do a small act tonight in keeping with that loosened grip. Think of one small person to whom a soft mercy could be offered. It could be a kind word, a small act of service, or a simple silence that listens. Do not plan a grand reformation. Choose one very small kindness you could extend tomorrow. Keep the intention modest and doable. Mercy grows by repetition, not by spectacle. I am careful to say that accepting grace does not eliminate the need for change. It often begins it. A person who feels accepted can learn differently. The security of acceptance allows for correction without collapse. The child who knows he is loved can learn from the fall. The adult who knows belonging can face the work of repair. Grace becomes a base from which change is possible without the terror of rejection. Ephesians reminds us of another small truth. The gift is not given for private hoarding. The gift is offered to be lived out. It is not a private trophy. Acceptance produces humility in the hands that receive. It invites a quiet obedience that looks like steady kindness. This form of living is not ostentatious. It is practical and patient. It does not feather into theology. It takes shape in how one speaks, how one listens, how one rests. If guilt rises as you imagine accepting such a gift, begin to. Guilt often arises when one believes repair must precede welcome. Try to see the flow differently. Welcome can be the condition for repair. It is the house that allows mending. A warm room is necessary before delicate suturing can take place. The grace of the story becomes that warm room. I will offer a short suggestion for tonight's rest. Lie back and place both hands on the belly. Breathe slowly and count on the exhale to 4. With each out-breath, imagine the chest handing a small weight to the bedside. This is symbolic, but the body understands symbols. Each release makes space for a new kind of breathing. Do this for a minute. Then imagine a small gift placed on the bedside by an unseen hand. It is wrapped in kindness, accepted without explanation. Let the eyes soften. There is also a quiet invitation to notice how the world sometimes reflects grace. A neighbor who forgives a slight, a stranger who offers a seat, a friend who arrives with no judgment. These are ordinary ways the gift moves through daily life. The Scripture's gift is not some separate thing. It appears often in tiny, human gestures. The reading tonight is simply a naming of that movement. I read these passages not to create guilt for the have-nots of perfect faith. I read them to remind us that belonging arrives apart from ledger scores. It is a fact laid before us. The act of taking it changes the body as much as the mind. Acceptance is practical. It makes the next step easier. The parable and the passage together teach a gentle economy. Merci precedes merit. Welcome is not a reward after a trial. It is the threshold through which healing begins. The Father's arms are not a transaction. They are a shelter. The Ephesians text that calls salvation a gift is the scriptural echo of that shelter. As this section closes, I place a soft pause in the room. Breathe with me 3 times. In, hold, out, rest. Let the idea of a gift settle into the soft places. If tears come, allow them. If sleep arrives, accept it as part of the gift. If wakefulness remains, keep the image of the wrapped box at the bedside. It is yours to open slowly. You do not have to perform to receive it. When you are ready, imagine placing one small stone on the nightstand and saying silently that you accept this grace. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. The act is small. The acceptance is real. I will be here again with the next passage. For now, rest in the quiet knowledge that grace comes first. Belonging waits without a precondition. The room is still. The lamp is low. Let the gift be enough for tonight. I settle deeper into the chair. The lamp throws a soft circle of light. The house sighs in its slow rhythms. I open the pages and let my voice be very quiet. Tonight I come to a short passage that meets worry where it lives. I read it gently. I let silence follow each line. The lines I carry speak to anxious hearts. They say, do not be afraid. They ask that every worry be brought in prayer. The method is simple. Bring what burdens you. Ask with honesty. Add a strand of thanks. Then wait for peace to come. I do not present this as a clever fix. I offer it as practice. Prayer here is not a performance. It is a handing over. Begin with the breath. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out gently. Let the breath set a steady tempo. Prayer can follow the breath. Each inhale can hold the name of one worry. Each exhale can offer that worry away. This is not magic. It is a small discipline that trains the body and calms the mind. I invite you to try a simple prayer with me. Keep it short. Choose one small thing that presses on the chest tonight. Say it aloud if that feels safe. Whisper it into the dark if that helps. Offer it as you would hand a letter to a trusted friend. Do not try to fix the whole story. Do not list every fear. Take one item. Present it simply. Now add a brief thread of thanks. It need not be grand. Notice one small good thing from today. A warm cup. A kind word. A quiet moment. Thankfulness is not a bill that cancels grief. It is a small light placed next to the worry. The light does not deny the dark. It makes the dark less frightening to look at. As I read these lines aloud, I imagine prayers like small stones tossed into a still pond. Each stone creates a ripple. The water is not the same as before. The ripple does not erase the pond. It changes its surface. The change matters. Peace often arrives as a subtle reshaping of perspective rather than a sudden cure. The mind learns to rest on the ripples. I speak of thanksgiving because it shapes the posture of asking. To ask without noticing gifts can harden the heart into a constant clawing. Adding thanks loosens that hold. It reminds the soul that life still contains good. It does not erase need. It makes asking less frantic. It makes room for trust. Picture a sentry at the gate of the heart. Peace, in the passage I read, acts like that sentry. It keeps watch. It guards the deep places of thought. It is not an anxious sentry. It is calm, composed, and unfazed. When peace stands at the gate, fear finds its voice quieter. The mind relaxes because something steady is on watch. I have known nights when the sentry felt absent. Worry prowled at the door. The mind rehearsed worst-case scenes. Sleep seemed like a distant shore. On those nights I do not pretend prayer wipes everything away. What I have found is that presenting the worry as a matter in prayer moves it from the frantic center to a supported place. The chest feels lighter enough to yield to sleep. There is a practice I return to often. I write one worry on a small scrap of paper. I fold it and place it on the nightstand. Nearby, I set a small card where I write one thing I am grateful for. These two objects sit together. I do not hide the worry. I do not try to pretend it never existed. I present it honestly. Next to it sits thanksgiving like a steadying friend. The balance changes the body's response. Prayer is more than asking. It is also listening. After presenting a need, sit quietly for a moment. Do not expect words to come. Expect a change in the room, a softening of the chest, a slight rearrangement of thought. Listening often feels like a small loosened jaw or a breath that lengthens. If the mind fills with noise, bring it back gently to the breath. Each time calls for gentleness, not force. The text I read also speaks of a peace beyond human understanding. This phrase can feel large and strange. I think of it as the kind of peace that appears quietly. It does not answer every why. It does not solve every problem. It places a calm hand over the mind's injured places. The hand steadies. The hand allows sleeping. Imagine the mind as a crowded room at night. Thoughts move like restless guests. Prayer opens a side door. Some guests leave. Some shrink back into corners. The room is not empty, but it is quieter. That shift is the peace the passage names. It is not the end of troubles. It is their restraint. Sometimes gratitude arrives reluctantly. It may take a practice of looking for small things. Scanning back through the day can help. What was simple and steady? A neighbor's nod. The quiet hum of the refrigerator. The sky's pale color at dusk. These small witnesses become anchors. They are not grand proofs. They are practical anchors. I find phrases that are short and repeatable are best for nights like this. A one-line prayer can hold the weight of many thoughts. Keep it brief. Keep it true. Let the line be a cord tied to a firm post in the dark. Repeat it slowly with the breath. The repetition trains the attention away from anxious spirals. There is also a quiet discipline of thanksgiving for things not yet seen. Hope, carefully harbored, can be part of the thankful posture. It might feel odd to thank for a mercy not yet received. Yet giving thanks for small future possibilities teaches the heart to expect solace. It does not guarantee outcomes. It trains the heart to lean toward good. I share a memory that fits this practice. Once, after a night of restless fear, I walked into the kitchen and made a small pot of tea. I sat with the cup and whispered a single, simple sentence of thanks for the warmth. I then whispered one short request for help with sleep. The action was tiny. The tea did not fix the worry. The rhythm of making it, holding it, thanking and asking, created a pattern that settled the mind enough to sleep. The next morning, the weight was lighter than it had been the night before. The small ritual had moved the burden. Prayer with thanksgiving also reframes the sense of obligation. Worry often feels like a job that must be done perfectly. Prayer removes the tyranny of that job. It says that some cares can be handed over. The handing over is not an abdication of responsibility. It is a wise delegation. The heart can sleep while the larger care maintains its steady watch. I will guide a short practice now. Keep the breath slow. Choose one simple sentence to pray. Bring the worry into that sentence. Add a short phrase of thanks. For example, say aloud or in the mind, help with this worry. And thank you for the small kindness today. Breathe in, breathe out. Repeat this for 6 breath cycles. Do not hurry. Do not judge the thoughts that rise. Let them pass through like birds moving across the sky. If thoughts come that resist giving thanks, acknowledge them. Do not wrestle. Offer the resistance as another small request. Name it briefly. I am afraid this will not help. Then add a gentle thanks for the effort of trying. These small steps matter. They steady the body's nervous system. The guardianship that follows prayer is often quiet. It may arrive as a warmth in the chest. It may arrive as a longer exhale. It may appear as the mind's sudden forgetfulness of a troubling loop. Notice it when it comes. Give thanks in that moment. Remember that gratitude is itself an act that invites more peace. There are nights when the peace does not come. The passages do not promise immediate relief every time. This honesty matters. Sometimes the season of anxiety stretches long. Still, the practice of presenting concerns in prayer with thanks is not wasted. It is like setting a seed in gentle soil. The seed may not sprout overnight. It gathers what it needs beneath the surface and grows in time. If sleep refuses you despite these small practices, be gentle with yourself. The attempt is the point. The heart learns by small acts. Try returning the worry to the nightstand paper again tomorrow. Rewrite the same sentence. Repeat the same thankful note. The repetition builds a habit of handing over that becomes natural with time. I also invite you to a brief silence with me now. Close the eyes if it helps. Breathe in slowly. Picture one worry sitting in the palm of the hand. Offer it toward the light. On the exhale, whisper a short word of thanks. Do this for 3 breaths. Feel how the body responds, even if only a little. Before I close this part of the reading, consider one practical act for tomorrow. Plan a 5-minute quiet time in the morning for a short recollection of things to be thankful for. Keep it small. Let this practice be a companion to the evening's handing over. The 2 small practices together create a gentle loop of asking and gratitude that steadies the day. I finish with a small encouragement. The peace that guards heart and mind tends to come in soft ways. It does not announce itself with trumpets. It arrives as a steadying of the breath. It arrives as a less restless thought. It is faithful over time. Keep returning to the simple pattern, one worry, one ask, one thank you. Now take 3 slow breaths with me. In, hold a brief count. Out. Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. Repeat twice more. Feel the weight shift a little. Let the room be quiet for a full minute. If sleep comes, allow it without guilt. If wakefulness remains, keep the breath as your companion. I will pause here and allow the silence to settle. When you are ready, the next passage will come. For now, rest in the calm that follows offering and thanks. Let the sentry of peace stand watch. Let the night do its quiet work. I sit with the lamp low and the Bible open in my lap. The night listens. My voice moves slowly. I choose the story of a prophet on a lonely mountain. The scene is quiet and wide. The mountain sits under a pulsing sky. Elijah stands at the top. His feet are tired from the road. His courage feels used up. He has run from threats and from disillusionment. The world around him offers a harsh orchestra. A wind arrives that tears at the rocks. It moves like a force that could undo the skin of the earth. Then the ground shakes. An earthquake rolls through the bones of the hill. After the quake, a fire sweeps across the slope. Flames lick the air, and smoke carries a sharp edge. Each event feels like an answer in the language of power. Yet the story does something quiet after the grand noise, after wind, earthquake, and fire. There is a hush, not a thunderous silence, not a drama waiting in shadows. There is a gentle, small sound. It arrives like the thrum of a moth's wing. It is a whisper. The whisper is simple and direct. It comes close without crowding. It speaks to the inside rather than to the crowd. The prophet hears the gentle whisper and knows a presence has arrived that does not need spectacle to be real. I read these lines slowly. The contrast matters. The mountain's fury could dominate a heart. It could convince anyone that only force is true. Yet the narrative chooses the whisper. It names a way of being that prefers gentleness over grandiosity. The small sound becomes the place where a worn soul meets care. This evening, I let that whisper settle in the room. Imagine the wind's roar passing and the ground's tremor fading. Feel the air cool after the fire. Notice how the sound of the whisper enters unobtrusively. It does not demand to be heard. It waits for the ear to soften. The whisper is not weak. It is intimate. It is a careful nearness. When I read the passage aloud, I do not rush the pause that follows the fire. I let a long breath sit in the room. In the pause, the tiny sound grows clear. The hush teaches the listener how small things can hold great truth. The whisper is an invitation to attend. It asks the heart to lean in and to listen. There is a way this story fits the nights when worry churns. The loud things, the worries, the arguments, the internal storms often feel essential. They seem to demand immediate answers. Yet some of the most profound care comes without spectacle. The whisper steadies a hand instead of shouting commands. It feels like someone who sits beside the bed and sets down a cool glass without announcing their presence. I offer a short, personal memory here. It is not dramatic. It is simple. One winter night, I wake with the usual storm of thoughts. A blen and restfuls. A conversation repeats. The mind rehearses failure. I rise and open the window for cold air. The room breathes in the night. I whisper a short prayer. It is not perfect language. It is a single, honest sentence. I do not wait for thunderous signs. I do not demand an answer. I breathe and let the word rest in the chest. Within a few breaths, something shifts. It is not loud. It is like a small hand smoothing a brow. The throat unclenches. The pulse eases. Sleep arrives with a naturalness that surprises me. The feeling is not removal of all trouble. It is a quiet steadying. In the morning, the problems remain. The mind still must work through them. But the heart remembers the whisper of the night. The memory is a small reservoir of calm to drink from later. That night stays with me. Not because the prayer performs a miracle. It stays because the act of handing the weight over allows the body to move out of gripping and into receiving. The whisper I heard in the story is like that. It changes the posture of the one who listens. It does not erase the past. It opens space to stand differently before it. Here is a small practice to match the image. Close the eyes, if it helps. Place one hand over the heart, the other over the belly. Breathe slowly. Inhale and count 3. Exhale and count 4. With each out-breath, imagine a soft word arriving in the space between the ribs. The word need not be elaborate. It can be as simple as a single name for what burdens the night. Offer that name quietly. Then wait. Do not insist on sensation. Let the breath be the measure of attention. After 3 rounds, notice the silence that follows the out-breaths. In that silence, listen as if for a small sound. The sound may be a feeling rather than a word. It may be a loosened muscle. It may be a short easing in the throat. Treat it as a gentle presence. Allow the smallness of it to be enough. The story of the mountain teaches patience. It reminds that presence often prefers the whisper. The world's loud answers can pass and leave a soul unsettled. The soft arrival repairs in a different register. It tends what spectacle cannot. The quiet presence knows where to rest a tender place. Sometimes the whisper speaks in images rather than sentences. A remembered kindness. A warm hand on the shoulder. A neighbor's unexpected kindness. A small gesture can carry the same tone. The whisper is not always audible. It can be shown in bread or in steady companionship. The point is the manner more than the form. I read the story as one who sits with many nights. I have noticed that the quieter moments often matter most. The small assurance that a listener is near makes the long tasks of healing possible. The whisper's gentleness trains the ear to expect care that is not loud. It trains the heart to accept a steady attention. If the night is heavy, try a brief imagining. Picture a wide mountain, a clear sky, and then the winds passing. Feel the earth settle after shaking. See the fire burn and then die down. In the place left behind, notice a single low sound. Let that sound be like a needle of warmth. Lean toward it. Allow the smallness to be a comfort rather than a disappointment. Avoid rushing to make the whisper into a spectacle. Let it do its quiet work. The practice of waiting matters. When Elijah listens, he does not demand a sign. He leans into the hush. The story suggests that our listening can be similarly patient. Waiting in quiet is itself a form of trust. It is not loudly heroic. It is simply brave in the way it stays. There is also a tenderness in how this presence meets the prophet after exhaustion. It cares first for the worn self. It speaks to the deepest need rather than listing required achievements. The whisper tends vulnerability with respect. The approach is gentle because it recognizes the cost of weariness. I invite a simple bedtime prayer now. Keep it short. Name one small fear or fatigue. Offer it on the exhale. Then breathe in gratitude for a single small mercy. It may be the lamp's soft glow or the warmth of a blanket. Let the inhale be a quiet keeping of that good thing. Repeat this 3 times. The rhythm welcomes the whisper in the chest. If sleep arrives, let it be. If wakefulness remains, keep the posture of listening. Do not push away thoughts. Notice them like leaves floating on a pool. Let the pool surface return to smoothness. Keep the breath as a gentle metronome. I end this section with an image that I come back to on difficult nights. Imagine a small voice at the edge of a crowded room that calls your name softly. It is not the loud voice that demands a spotlight. It is the voice that knows the shape of your worry and walks with you without speaking at length. The voice draws near and rests its hand lightly. That is the whisper. Rest in the possibility that such a voice comes in the hush. Let the night hold the soft sound. Let the body uncoil a little. When ready, the next passage will come slowly. For now, stay still and listen for the gentle whisper. I settle deeper into the quiet. The lamp is low. The Bible rests in my lap. I breathe slowly. The night holds its steady hush. I come now to a promise that walks ahead of us. It is a promise about company on the road. The passage I keep with me says God goes before us. It also says God is with us. It promises the one who leads will not leave. The line is simple. It asks only that we notice. I read those words, not like a program to follow. I read them like a soft map handed to a traveler. The map is not crowded with arrows. It has a single clear line. It points forward. It says you are not alone in this going. Think of an early morning walk. The path is dim. Mist hangs low. A figure moves ahead. Calm and sure. That movement is what I mean by going before. The one who goes ahead watches the road. The one who walks first looks for loose stones. The one who goes before pauses at ruts and finds a gentler step around them. Going before does not always mean the path becomes easy. Sometimes the way stays rough. Sometimes the traveler still feels tired. But when someone goes before, the traveler is not the only one seeing the trail. There is a small mercy in that sharing of sight. The fear of unknowable turns is softened by another set of eyes on the road. I have a memory that fits this image. It is small and ordinary. I moved once to a town I did not know. The streets felt like a maze. I worried about small daily things, where to buy bread, how to find a doctor, how to meet someone who could become a friend. The first week felt long. Then small things happened without fanfare. A neighbor left a note with a phone number and a map. A clerk at the store remembered my name. A bench in the park became a familiar place to sit. Those small courtesies were like footsteps in front of me. They did not solve everything. They made the walk possible. They felt like a presence going before me, arranging small details I had not known to ask for. The promise that God goes before us works like that. Sometimes it appears as removed obstacles. Sometimes it appears as signs that point us toward help. Sometimes it appears simply as a companion who moves ahead and waits. The other part of the promise is this: He will be with you. That word with changes the shape of the road. With means side by side. It means warmth at the shoulder on cold mornings. It means a hand near enough to feel. With means presence that does not abandon when the evening grows long. A companion is not a distant ruler. A companion walks. A companion meets exhaustion. A companion takes off boots and listens. I imagine that presence as a steady silhouette, just ahead, then at the side, then behind, checking each direction. The rhythm of that walking teaches courage, not courage that never trembles. Courage that moves even when the knees feel weak, because someone walks with us. Fear is a faithful visitor in many nights. It sits in the corner and whispers possible harms. I do not promise the fear will vanish when I speak about this. The voice of fear can still arrive. The promise I offer is different. It says fear need not be the last word. When a companion goes before and stays near, the fear often becomes a smaller thing. It keeps its place, but it does not rule the room. Try a small practice now. Breathe slowly. Inhale. And imagine a light moving a few steps in front of you. Exhale. And notice how the shoulders soften. Repeat. Picture the light pausing at a rough spot. Picture it smoothing a path in some small way. Let the body register the relief of having someone who glimpses what is ahead. There is a certain patient way that a companion leads. The one who goes before often does not run away from difficulty. Instead, the companion walks into it and calls for caution. The companion may call for rest. The companion may call for celebration when a small mile is passed. The presence is both steady and tender. I remember nights when I needed that kind of tender steadiness. I had plans that unraveled. I worried about promises I could not keep. In those seasons, the neat map I imagined did not match the terrain. I felt exposed. What helped was the sense of another presence who had already met similar nights. That sense felt like a hand on the small of the back as I trudged along. It did not fix the route immediately. It made the next moment bearable. God going before us also means the path is not a surprise to Him. The twists are known. The pitfalls are familiar. That knowledge is not used against us. It is used to guide. There is mercy in being led by someone who knows the road, because he has made the way. That image calms a mind that fears blindly stepping into harm. Sometimes the care of someone who goes ahead looks like preparation. A bridge placed, a small detour found, a shelter ready where before there was none. These are practical mercies. They may show as a timely phone call. They may show as an unexpected rest between duties. They may show as a sleep that finally arrives after a long night. Other times the presence ahead is quieter. It is not about changing lanes for us. It is about going first into the uncertainty so that we do not have to face it alone. It is the way a trusted friend knocks on the door before we open it. They are already inside to welcome what comes. There is also a promise in the line that the leader will not leave or forsake. The verb is slow and exact. It refuses abandonment. That refusal matters on nights when loneliness feels loud. The promise says, even when you think you are alone, you are not. The promise says presence is constant, not conditional. I do not suggest this presence always feels dramatic. Often it is steady, like a heartbeat you learn to place your ear upon. You do not notice it at first. Over time it becomes familiar. The smallness of it becomes a home for the weary. Try another short practice. Place your hand where your heart rests. Breathe in slowly. Imagine the warmth of a companion walking ahead. Breathe out and feel that warmth as a support beneath the ribs. Stay with 3 slow cycles of breathing. Each cycle is a small reminder that you are walked with. There is also courage bound up with this promise. It does not erase difficulty. It does allow walking forward with a softer tread. Courage in this sense is not loud. It is the steady choice to rise in the morning and keep going, because the way is not entirely alone. I tell a small story here. Once I stood at the edge of a decision. I feared the wrong step would cost too much. Sleep came in fits. I wore a tired face. Then a small sign appeared. A friend offered a short, practical piece of advice. A door opened that I had not seen. The help was quiet. And it was real. It changed the shape of the choice. It did not erase the need to decide. It removed a needless worry because someone had walked where I could not yet go. I call that walking before me. Deuteronomy's promise invites us to trust a kind of forward care. It asks us to notice the small courtesies that come like footprints. It asks us to rest when the going is hard. It calls for courage when the next step is uncertain. If your night is heavy with questions, try this final practice with me. Close the eyes if that helps. Take one long breath in. Picture the path ahead. See a gentle light moving a few strides in front. Breathe out. Imagine that light setting a small stone where you might stumble. Breathe in again and let the shoulders ease. Breathe out and hand one worry to the one who goes before. Do this 3 times. I do not claim the path becomes perfect. I claim something quieter. The road becomes shared. The weight becomes less solitary. The sleep that follows often feels kinder when you trust a presence at the front and at the side. I will pause now and let the room hold this promise. Stay with the breath. Feel the small steadiness under the ribs. If sleep comes, let it. If wakefulness remains, sit with the image of a companion who goes before and will not leave. Rest in that steady nearness. When you are ready, I will read again. For now, keep the lamp low and the breath slow. Let the thought of a steady hand on the path calm the night. I stay here with you until the next quiet passage begins. I keep the lamp low. The Bible rests on my knees. The house breathes in its slow tempo. Tonight, I open to a passage that is quiet and simple. It invites the tired to come. The invitation is soft. It offers rest for the soul. Jesus speaks in plain terms. He calls those who are weary. He names the heavy burdens. He offers a shorter path. He promises an easy yoke and a light load. I do not read these words as a lecture. I read them as a hand placed gently on the shoulder. The tone is an offered shelter. Listen with the body. Let the breath slow. Place a hand over the heart. Feel the steady beat beneath the palm. Hear the pulse like a small drum marking steadiness. The words of the passage do not demand a rapid answer. They wait. They invite a small decision to come, and to learn rest. Rest, in this text, is not simply sleep. It is an interior calm. It is the relief of not having to prove worth by effort alone. It is a place where the chest can unclench. It is an invitation to learn a different rhythm of life. The yoke imagery helps. A yoke pairs two animals, so they share the work. The promise is not that the load vanishes. It is that the load is shared, and that the style of labor changes. The tone of the work becomes easy. I think of a traveler with a heavy pack. The shoulders sag. Each step tastes like coal. Then someone comes alongside and says, "Let me lift part of that." The load shifts. The walk becomes possible again. That is the sense of the passage. The help is close. It does not shame. It steadies. Practical ways of embracing this rest grow slowly. They begin with small acts. The first act is naming the weight. Choose one thing to set aside tonight. It can be a worry about tomorrow. It can be an unfinished list. It can be a quiet grief. Place it mentally on the bedside. Do not try to solve it. Simply place it there. The act of naming is a soft offering. Next, practice handing it over. Breathe in slowly. Imagine drawing the named burden into the palm. Breathe out and place it on the bedside. Picture another hand lifting a corner of the pack. Picture a yoke being slid gently across two shoulders, so neither bears all the strain. Repeat this visual exchange 3 times. The motion trains the body to believe that help can be real. I share a memory that keeps this truth practical. Once I carried a worry like an untied sack. Nights were full of rehearsed fears. Then a friend sat with me 2 evenings in a row and simply listened. No answers were given. No hurried fixes. The act of listening felt like hands on the yoke. Over team. My step lightened. The worry remained. Its edge softened. The presence beside me made the road bearable. That is what the passage names. It gives permission to be supported. Embracing rest also asks for a small learning. Jesus invites the weary to learn from him. Learning here is not study with pressure. It is watching and copying a posture of gentleness. Know that learning happens slowly. Start with one small practice tomorrow. Wake 5 minutes earlier, to drink water and stand quietly. Do not plan the whole day. Let the morning be a soft beginning. The smallness of such a practice trains the heart to expect gentleness. Another way to take up the easy yoke is through boundaries. Rest needs edges. Choose one thing to let go of for 24 hours. It might be checking news. It might be replying to a message right away. Give the hand a small rest from those tasks. Announce nothing grand. Simply let the hand that usually reaches relax. The relief of small boundaries can surprise with its steadiness. Notice, too, the role of gratitude in this rhythm. A short breath of thanks changes the tilt of the mind. After naming a burden, think of one small mercy from the day. It might be a warm cup. It might be a brief smile. Let gratitude sit next to the worry, like a candle on a table. It does not erase the darkness, but it offers a quiet light. Work and rest change when rested living is learned. Rest is not escape from responsibility. It is an alignment of labor with a shared care. A person who rests well often does the work with clearer hands. Rest refreshes creativity. Reste renews patience. The compassionate yoke reshapes how tasks are done. The work is no longer fuel for proving. It becomes service from a place of belonging. I speak gently about Sabbath rhythms. Once a week, give the hands a deliberate rest from one habitual task. The act need not be holy theater. It can be practical. Let one day or one afternoon be free from the usual proving. Use the time to walk, to sit, to read softly. The pattern trains the nervous system to expect restoration. Over time, the week gathers like a breath between labors. When the mind resists resting, do not fight harshly. Resistance often sounds like duty or fear of falling behind. Notice the resistance like a worried child in the corner. Acknowledge its voice. Then make a small, humble push toward the rest. The push is tender and patient. It may be placing the phone face down for an hour. It may be leaving a chore for morning. Each small refusal to be driven by anxiety is a lesson in the yoke. Another practice is the exchange of language. Replace the sentence "I must" with the phrase "I will try." The change is subtle. It loosens the rigid shoulders of obligation. Try this in small things tonight. In the mind, trade must for will when thinking of tomorrow's tasks. The mind is pliable. Gentle language shapes the heartbeat. There is also the discipline of presence. To rest in Christ is to live with trust that care accompanies effort. That trust is not laxness. It is steadiness. Practice staying with one present task without rehearsing later failures. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Attend to a small core. Notice the sense of being enough while doing one thing at a time. Let that single focused labor become an exercise of trust. Forgiveness fits this pattern too. Often the heaviest loads are old regrets. They sit in the sack and tilt the shoulders. Bringing one old hurt to the bedside, naming it, and offering it up is a restful work. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means releasing the demand that the past must be remade before rest can come. The mind learns to walk forward while the past remains a part of the story. I do not pretend that agreement with this rhythm solves everything. There are seasons of real burden that require care beyond simple practices, professional help, conversation with friends. Rest in community, these are part of the path. The passage invites receiving help as a first step. It does not cancel the need for more. It makes the need possible to meet. Try a short exercise now. Lie down if possible. Keep the hands over the ribs. Breathe in gently. Picture a small yoke being placed across the shoulders. Feel its shape. Imagine the yoke is shared with a steady presence beside you. Breathe out and feel a few pounds lift from the chest. Repeat 5 times. Let the exhale be longer. Notice how the tension eases in tiny increments. If sleep comes during the exercise, accept it as a sign of the body making good on the exchange. If wakefulness remains, stay with the imagery. Let the hand rest. Let the breath be the ruler of time. Return to the breath whenever the mind wanders. The practice is simple. Its power is in repetition. Rest also invites a rhythm of work that is mindful. When tasks return in the morning, approach them with less hurry. Start with the breath. Move slowly. Let the pace you set be measured by steadiness rather than urgency. The day will still contain demands. The new measure of success is not speed. It is faithfulness from a rested heart. Community matters in this exchange. Learn to ask for help before exhaustion peaks. A short message to a friend can shift the route. Do not wait for catastrophe to invite support. Small, early invitations to help train friends to notice. They learn to carry yokes with you. The practice keeps burdens from becoming crushing. I keep the tone soft because rest is not a lecture. It is a way of life offered. The yoke is easy, not because the road is always smooth, but because the companion walks beside and ahead. The lightness comes from shared weight, not from denial of pain. Accepting the offered yoke is not weakness. It is a brave step into a reality of care. If guilt arises when thinking of surrender, name it gently. Guilt is often a sign that the heart fears losing dignity. Remember, this dignity grows in trust more than in solitary effort. To hand over is to practice humility that is not shameful. A humble hand becomes freer to act in love. End with a small ritual. Take a scrap of paper. Write one burden on it. Fold it 3 times. Place it on the nightstand. Whisper a brief sentence, not a long plea. Just a simple handing over. I set this down for tonight. Close the eyes and breathe 5 slow breaths. With each exhale, imagine the paper lighter. Imagine another hand touching the corner and lifting a portion of the weight. Let this act be small and private. I will pause now and let silence breathe into the room. Stay with the slow rhythm of the breath. Hear the house settle. Feel the steady hand of presence that goes with the one who leads. If sleep arrives, let it. If wakefulness holds, return to the hand on the chest and to the practiced exchange of burden. When you are ready, imagine opening the hands and finding they are freer than before. Carry that lightness into the night. Rest well. I will read again when the hour moves on. For now, accept the invitation to come and to learn rest. The yoke is easy. The load is shared. Let the heart be still. I sit with the Bible in my lap. The lamp is low. The night breathes around us. My voice is Kiat. I bring a gentle thread tonight. It is a thread about future glory. It is a quiet hope that holds the present night. Romans speaks in a measured way about suffering and a greater future. I do not read doctrine as a puzzle to solve. I read it as a light on the horizon. The promise is simple. The present trouble is real. The future glory is also real and steady. The sentence between them is patience and trust. The room listens. The point is not to erase pain. Pain is honest and should be attended. The aim is to place pain within a larger view. Imagine standing in a valley at dusk. The valley is cold. The wind lifts small bits of dust. It seems to go on forever. Then on the ridge, there is a thin light. It is small at first, like the last star. Over time, the light grows. The idea of morning gives the feet a reason to move. The future shines in the small way that makes present walking possible. I share a memory that sits warm in my chest. Once, during a long season of worry, I drove a narrow road at dawn. Fog filled the hollows. Headlights cut through the white like small promises. The world felt ambiguous. A good mile into the drive, a break in the fog appeared. Sunlight slipped in like a quiet hand. It did not erase the miles behind. It only showed that the road had a direction, and that the darkness was not final. That dawn mattered. It did not promise immediate relief for all choices. It offered a view that suffering will not have the last frame. Suffering has weight. It presses in the ribs. It narrows the field of sight. Speaking plainly, nothing I say will make that weight vanish tonight. Yet words can change how the weight is carried. Hope in future glory is not a slogan. It is a practical companion. It reminds the muscles to keep small. Steady motion. It gives the heart a small, spare breath. Think of a seed under frozen soil. Season after season, the seed is still. The cold at the surface does not tell the whole story. Beneath the crust, life moves slowly. The season changes with time and patience. When the warmth comes, the shoot does not rise with a trumpet. It unfurls quietly and then grows. The scripture picture calls suffering temporary. By comparison, the glory to come is like spring. It reorders the meaning of winter without pretending the frost was not real. I read these words as a nurse tends a fevered brow. The touch is light. The gesture is steady. The promise is placed like a cool cloth. In the air between verses, notice the chest. Let the fingers rest briefly where the tension lives. Breathing slowly will help the thought land. Try a small exercise with me. Breathe in slowly for 3 counts. Hold for 1. Breath out for 4. On the inhale, imagine a thin line of light far ahead. On the exhale, imagine the line growing a little. Do this 5 times. The motion is quiet. The image is small. Its job is to shift the posture of the mind toward a horizon rather than a pit. Hope for future glory is not a demand to stop feeling. It allows sorrow and hope to exist at once. The heart can carry both. The presence of future good does not cancel the ache. It invites a different relation to the ache. It says this pain has a shape. It points somewhere. It will not be the final shape. There is a modest, practical way to hold this thought each night. Choose a small object to represent future hope. A pebble, a scrap of fabric, a little stone from some ordinary walk. Place it gently on the nightstand. When a hard thought arrives, touch the object. Let the hand remember that the night is not all there is. The tiny object acts like a bookmark in time. It does not hurry the healing. It only provides a place to return to when the mind wanders into despair. Another small picture is of a traveler with a candle. The traveler goes through a dark tunnel. The flame is tiny, but steady. The tunnel is long, and at times the flame sputters from cold draughts. The traveler shelters the flame, feeds it with breath, and keeps moving. Each step is small. The traveler does not insist on seeing the full exit. The flame and a single step together are enough. Hope in future glory is that candle. It need not illuminate the whole route to give courage for the next foothold. I do not want to turn hope into a performance. Hope becomes fragile when forced. So keep it simple. Let hope be a slow habit. Let it be a line repeated in the body rather than an argument in the head. The warmth that grows from a repeated small practice becomes large enough to matter. There is also a tender truth here. Some sufferings shape compassion. They widen the heart. That is not a consolation that makes the wound lighter. It is only a truth about how response can change. People sometimes become kinder because they have known hurt. Those changes are a kind of fruit that come from seasons of trial. They do not justify the pain. They describe a possible harvest. Notice the language in the passage about future glory. It speaks of unmeasurable worth. Put it beside ordinary life. A child's laugh, a neighbor's touch, the slow rise of bread dough, the glow of a lamp when rain falls on the roof. These small glories now are like hints. They are not trivial. They are the beginning of a larger beauty. Allow the mind to gather a few of them like pebbles in a pocket. I keep the sentences short because the mind sleeps better when the load is light. Complex arguments wake the system. Plain images calm it. Tonight, choose 3 small scenes of goodness from this week. Not big events. Simple things. Name them in the mind. Hold each one for a breath. This exercise does not deny hard things. It places them alongside gentle things so the chest does not stay clinched. There will be nights when hope feels like a brittle reed. It bends easily. That is normal. Do not demand faith to perform. Return to small acts. Read a short line. Touch the object on the nightstand. Breathe with the pattern. The habits matter more than grand conviction. The steady returns to hope are slow work, like mending a torn cloth by hand. If guilt grips, know that hope is not a reward for goodness. It is a gift of perspective. It allows eyes to look beyond current pain. The absence of immediate relief does not mean the promise is false. Time often changes the view. The horizon remains even when clouds gather. I offer a practice for those nights when rest seems far. Lie down and let the body feel the mattress. Place the hand on the chest and one on the belly. Breathe in slowly. On the inhale, imagine a future light rising just above the horizon. On the exhale, imagine a small surrender of a burden. Repeat 10 times. The rhythm trains the nervous system. The mind learns that the future is a patient companion. Another quiet act, imagine a gentle letter to the self from the future. Not words of judgment. Not ambitious plans. A line that says the road not only continues but holds unexpected beauty. Let that imagined line be soft. Let it say, in small terms, that what is endured will one day be part of a larger story. The exercise is odd at first. It works because the heart recognizes the voice as care. I keep the reading unhurried. The words move like soft waves. Each pause is intentional. The pauses are places for the listeners to catch up. The pauses are spaces where hope can settle like a weight put down on a low shelf. There is a humility in the promise of future glory. It does not pretend to solve every puzzle. It does not call for reckless optimism. It invites a steady, patient look forward. The mind learns to lean on a promise and also to act with tender care. In the present, hope and effort walk together. The future glows like a lamp the feet can follow. If worries return, do not shame the mind. Shaming only tightens the chest. Instead, name the worry with a single breath. Lay it beside the stone on the nightstand. Return to the breathing exercise. The repetition is the work of a patient carpenter. Small, consistent taps make a structure steady over time. I share one final memory for this part. On a night when grief felt vast, a friend led a small ritual. We sat in silence. A candle burned. No words were required. The room felt enormous and small at once. In that quiet, the thought of a future morning felt less like a promise and more like a neighbor knocking at the door. It arrived gently and did not demand immediate rejoicing. The neighbor simply came to remind the household that dawn still moves towards them, even in seasons of debt. That reminder was enough to carry me to sleep. The hope the scripture names is like that neighbor. It does not shout from the roof. It comes quietly and patiently. It sketches a horizon that the eyes can hold even when the feet are weary. As I close this part of the reading, make one small decision. Choose one simple object to keep as a symbol of hope. Place it near the bed. Each night, touch it and take one small breath, imagining the horizon. Let the practice be gentle. Let the growth be slow. Take 3 gentle breaths now. In, hold, out. Feel the chest ease a little. Let the idea of future glory rest like a low light in the mind. If sleep arrives, lead it. If wakefulness remains, keep the small object in the hand or mind. Return to the breathing. The horizon waits. The night will pass. The promise will remain. I place the Bible down softly. The lamp stays low. The room holds the slow hush. Rest now. Keep hope near. Let the future's gentle light steady the night. The lamp stays low. The Bible is open again on my lap. My voice is softer than the last breath of dusk. I settle into a final quiet. I invite you to do the same. Place hands where they rest best. Close the eyes if that helps. Let the room hold you. I speak in a slow cadence. Each sentence is a small step. I lead a prayer that moves like a gentle tide. The aim is peace. The aim is forgiveness. The aim is comfort for whatever has made the night heavy. Breathe with me once. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let the breath find its own easy tempo. Feel the weight of the day settle. Notice where tension gathers. Name it briefly in the mind. Do not argue with it. Just notice. I begin with a simple address. I call on the God who is near in small things. I do not make long claims. I only name what the heart needs. The words are short and honest. Lord, Hear the hush of this room. Let calm enter like cool water. Cover these tired places with a gentle hand. Meet each wound with mercy. Hold each fear like a small object offered to you. I pause so the line can land. In the silence, imagine a warm hand taking a stone from the palm. Picture a small burden set into an open hand that does not judge. The gesture matters more than the wording. Let the image rest. I pray for peace to come where the mind is loud. Quiet the rehearsed fears. Bring a softer pace to thought. Let the sentry of peace stand at the gate of the heart. Teach the restless mind to be still. I ask that the breath lengthen. Let the shoulders ease. I pray for forgiveness, where old regrets sit like heavy coats. Soften the places that demand perfection. Give courage to name mistakes and to release them. Teach the hands how to open. Help us to forgive others in small, practical ways. Help us to forgive ourselves without long lists of penance. Mercy first. Repair after. I pray for comfort for those who mourn. Hold the rawness that will not be hurried. Bring a companion close. Place a neighbor's soft word. Send a hand that steadies. Let the memory of what was good live like a lantern in the dark. Keep sorrow company without forcing it to be smaller than it is. I pray for rest for bodies that ache from work or worry. Let weary muscles loosen. Give sleep that repairs. Make the night a place where healing begins in small measures. Let the sleeper's breath be deep and even. Let the waking find the body a little less tight. I pray for peace in homes where voices have grown sharp. Send a softening where distance has widened. Place a small bridge. Teach conversation that listens before answering. Help hands to build again. Slowly, let family tables welcome rather than weigh. I pray for guidance for those who stand at crossroads tonight. Clear a path in the fog. Send small signs that are easy to see. Place a neighbor's map or a kind word from a friend. Do not rush the choice. Give enough light for one step, then give another. I pray for courage for those who face hard confessions. Make the courage tender. Let confession be a key to open doors rather than a hammer to break what remains. Let small acts of honesty begin the slow work of mending. I pray for a softening of anger that has taken root. Breathe kindness where bitterness clings. Teach the heart new lengths of patience. Show how mercy can widen a chest that once tightened with resentment. I pray for children and quiet ones who sleep nearby. Keep them safe as a hand on the pillow. Guard the small bodies with a calm that sleeps easily. Let dreams be gentle and the morning kind. I pause and breathe with you. Feel the room breathe too. Let the words do their work in the space between sentences. Quiet can be active. It can gather like thread and mend small tears. Now, I invite you to a small act. Imagine holding a tiny stone. Name the thing that weighs most tonight. It can be a single worry, a litany of small tirednesses, or a quiet, unspoken grief. Place that worry into your imagined stone. Picture handing the stone to the one who listens. Release it with the breath. Say nothing aloud unless you wish. A single private sentence is enough. Tell the weight that you are setting it down for this night. Trust the hand that takes it to keep it. The act of offering is itself a prayer. I pray for forgiveness, for the times we hold on too long, for the nights we replay what cannot be changed, for the words we wish we had spoken or unsaid. Grant a mercy that meets us in the middle of our clumsy ways. Teach the heart to let go gradually and to start again with gentleness. I pray for those who cannot sleep, for reasons that go beyond fatigue, for minds that stay sharp with worry, for hands that do not know how to rest. Bring a small reordering. Place a friend in the morning light. Make of tomorrow a keepable day. Send a rhythm that steadies. I pray for those who feel unseen. Let the gentle presence of God be concrete. Let kindness arrive in the form of a note, a cup of tea, a simple visit. Let the day hold one person who says, "I see you." That good will echo through the nights. I ask for mercy for the little failures of the day, for missed calls, for overheard sharpness, for hurried meals. These are not small to those who bear them. Meet each with kindness. Do not allow regret to accumulate until it feels like a wall. Bring repair pieces in small measures. I invite each listener to breathe and to imagine a cloak being draped across the shoulders. The cloak is made of rest. Let it hang easily. Let it warm without weight. In that imagining, hand over a burden that you are ready to let go of tonight. Trust the cloak to hold what you need to leave behind. I pray for a clean slate where it is possible, for evenings when the ledger can be quiet, for mornings when the list is not the first thing. Help the mind to begin with a breath rather than a rush. I pray for trust to grow in small ways. It is not always a grand thing. It is a slow building. Let one small trust be granted tomorrow. Let it be enough to start another. I pray for the presence that goes before. Let the path be prepared in small courtesies. Arrange the next step so it is visible. Do not leave the traveler blind. Bring forward what is needed, bit by bit. I ask for a sleeping mercy to comfort anyone awake with a heavy heart tonight. Let the eyelids close. Let the breathing slow. Let the small repairs begin in the softness of rest. I pray a gentle protection through the night. Guard the mind from needless weight. Keep the body safe. Keep the home quiet. Let the dawn meet each sleeper with the first easy light. I pray a final small surrender. Now, for those who carry shame, teach the hands to unclench. For those who carry guilt, bring a place to set it down. For those who carry sorrow, allow a small joy to return in the morning. I close with a blessing. May peace stand watch in the chest. May mercy fold around regret. May comfort find the places only darkness knows. May rest come soft and steady. Hold your hand where it rests best. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out and feel the place where burdens eased by a breath. Know that the offering you made is kept. Know you are not alone. If it helps, whisper one brief word of thanks. It need not be ornate. A single small thanks is enough. Let the gratitude sit beside the burden you handed over. Let the two keep company. I will stay with this quiet for a moment. Let the silence be a room where peace arranges itself. Do not feel the need to fix anything now. The night will do its slow work. The small acts of tonight will gather into something larger over time. I pray that forgiveness will come around like a kind visitor. Let it sit a while and mend a thread. I pray that grace will meet effort and make new courage possible. I pray that the whisper of gentleness will be louder than the clangor of fear. When you are ready to sleep, do so without guilt. Sleep is work of a kind. It mends, it knits, it repairs. Allow it to do what it can. I place a gentle hand in the air as a sign of blessing. May the peace I have named be with you now. May it keep you through the night. May morning find you softer and steadier. Amen. I pause with you a while longer. Let the hush settle like soft fabric over the room. If eyelids close, that is good. If wakefulness remains, rest in the quiet presence we have called. Tomorrow will come. For now, let the night be enough. When you wake, carry the small memory of this handover. Return to it when worry grows. Repeat the single act of handing one small stone over time. The small acts reshape the spirit. I lay the Bible gently down. The lamp glows low. The house breathes. Sleep now. If it comes, keep the peace. Keep the hope. Keep the small, steady trust that mercy meets the night. I stay with you a moment longer. The house holds its slow breath. The lamp is a small halo. The Bible rests where light makes the letters soft. My voice lowers to match the hush. Tonight closes like a door left ajar. A quiet world sits just beyond the threshold. I do not hurry. I do not add anything heavy. The aim is simple. A steady watch. A soft blessing. A final good night. Find your most comfortable position. Allow the limbs to melt into the bed or chair. Let the jaw unclench. Let the shoulders drop one small inch. Breathe with a deliberate gentleness. Inhale. Hold. Exhale longer. Let each breath be a small instruction for the body to rest. I want you to feel a presence that keeps watch while you sleep. Picture it as a calm light near the doorway. It is not loud. It does not prove itself with signs. It stands steady. It knows the shape of your day. It knows the places that ache. It moves close without pressing. This care is faithful. It does not leave when the night grows long. Imagine a watchman on a quiet street. He does not shout. He simply walks the rounds. Each step is quiet and careful. He remembers the names of those who live there. He notes where a window is cracked and where a lamp is dim. He does his small, steady work so others may rest. The presence I name tonight acts in that way. It attends without alarm. If the mind resists this kind of image, try a different one. Picture a slow river under moonlight. The surface glows in a narrow band. The water keeps moving. It carries small things without fuss. It does not promise a sudden change. It only keeps the course. The river's movement is a quiet promise that the flow continues even when the shore is dark. I do not ask for grand faith. I ask for a gentle willingness to receive. Rest is not earned by a list. It is welcomed like a visitor who brings bread. Take only what you need. Allow the small gift to sit beside your pillow. Let it warm the place inside where worry sits. Tonight, Hold one simple sentence in the heart. Make it short. Let it be whatever matches this evening. Perhaps you are held, or I can rest, or mercy is near. Keep the sentence as a single stone in the palm. Repeat it with the out-breath. Do not argue with doubts. Let the repetition steady the pulse. If fear arrives, notice it kindly. Fear is a voice, not a verdict. Name it in one breath. Offer it to the watch that waits. Do not pursue long explanations. A single handing over matters. The body accepts the exchange faster than the mind sometimes. Let the hands do what the head finds hard. Place the worry on the bedside. Imagine it lightened. And breathe. There is a quiet work that begins in such moments. The body learns a new pattern. The nervous system remembers a safer rhythm. Small shifts pile up like careful stones. Overnight, the stones become a path. The path leads away from panic and towards steadiness. Part of this good night is an invitation. Peace found in the dark is something to share, not to preach, not to insist, simply to offer. Think of one person who might carry a heavy evening tomorrow. A neighbor who lives alone, a friend who once sighed too often, a sibling whose laughter sounds thinner these days. Consider one small, kind act for them. A short note, a bowl of soup, a quiet listening ear for 20 minutes. Small courtesies are ways the watchful presence moves through human hands. If it helps, plan a tiny act. Now, pick one name. Decide on one easy thing. Do not overthink the gesture. Keep it small enough to do with ease. Simple generosity carries the message without loud words. Mercy often wears ordinary clothes. If sharing words feels right, use a phrase that will not need explanation. A sentence like, "I thought of you tonight," and wanted to say, "I hope you sleep." Short statements land easily. They do not demand a conversation. They are invitations of care. Leave them as an unread message or as a note on a kitchen table. Smallness matters. You can also share by repeating what we sometimes practice here. Teach a child one soft breath. Read a short verse by the bedside. Offer the hand to someone who sits in a waiting room. There is no need for theology in a moment like that. Mercy looks like a warm tea. It looks like a patient shoulder. Let the message move through acts more than arguments. If music helps, choose a lullaby that does not rush. Keep the volume low. Let the melody be a gentle curve. Play it for someone who needs it. If phone screens are close, try dimming them early tomorrow evening. Replace a scroll with a short reading. The rhythm of transition matters. Small changes in habit invite larger shifts in rest. Remember also to carry this practice inward. Receive the grace you plan to share. The hands that give often need giving to as well. When the impulse rises to fix everything at once, return to a single breath. Offer yourself the same short sentence. You might send a friend. Be gentle. Practice making kindness a two-way path. Tonight's watchfulness reaches even into ordinary routines. If the house is noisy tomorrow morning, find a small minute to repeat this practice. Breathe. Hand over one worry and set a tiny kindness into motion. Habit makes the heart less brittle. Small repetitions make large peace more possible. I will offer a quiet encouragement about returning here. These evenings are a slow series of small doors. Come back if the night is long, not because failure means repeating a lecture, because rhythm helps. One calm night is a small repair. Many calm nights build a new posture. There is wisdom in a steady return. The voice here will be the same, gentle, plain, and patient. If questions arise about belief or doubt, hold them gently. You do not need to fold them into the bed tonight. Some questions are like maps that take time. Others are like stones that need careful handling. The night will not force an answer. It will simply offer presence. Let the questions rest near the pillow for another hour. They can be looked at in the morning light. Before I close, place hands where they rest best. Breathe once with intention. Inhale slowly. Let the air fill the belly. Exhale like a soft sigh. With the second breath, imagine a gentle hand resting across the shoulders. With the third breath, picture a light on the threshold. Steady and unhurried, let these images be small protections. Let them be enough. If sleep finds you now, receive it without guilt. Sleep is not escape. It is part of the mending. The night repairs in ways the day does not always allow. Allow the body to do what it knows. Rest pulls the seams of the day together. Let it work. If wakefulness remains, do not battle the night. Turn attention to the breath. Keep the sentence of comfort close. If it helps, read again a single verse that brought calm earlier. Speak it quietly. Let the words move like a slow tide. The voice of Scripture is a companion on nights. When the mind wanders, I will say a final blessing now. The words are short. They are not a test of belief. They are a wish, held in a quiet heart. Receive them as you like. May a steady presence stand guard through the dark. May mercy find the tender places. May sleep arrive soft and slow. May morning bring a small light that is enough. May the heart find courage for what comes next. May the hands be ready to offer a kind thing tomorrow. May peace sit near and not leave. I tuck this hour into the memory like a small cloth. It will be here when you open your eyes. Return to it bit by bit. Teach the breath the old, slow song. Keep the practice simple. Keep it kind. One last encouragement before I go. Be gentle with the self. Small acts matter. Share one of them this week. Let the message of mercy move through one tiny doorway at a time. A single kindness can ripple farther than expected. Do not measure it. Let it be quiet and true. Now, ease the weight from the shoulders. Close the eyes if that helps. Give one soft sigh and let it be the last thing before sleep. Know that the watchful presence remains. Know that the message of care is to be passed along in small, ordinary ways. The world needs more hands that offer gently. Yours can be one. Good night. Sleep with this steady care around you. I will return in time. Until then, rest in peace. Good night.